Chapter 11. First Mission. Each of the Shadow Path modes that Max was learning required him to master several precise steps and movements in order to function properly. It took him a long time to learn the first attack mode, consisting of 3 steps. The first defense mode consisted of 4 steps. The combination of the first attack mode and the first defense mode was called Shadubaransu 1 or Shadow Balance 1. It was difficult to master, and its creator wouldn't let him rest or voice his opinion on the matter. Only when you conquer the 6 attack modes, 6 defense modes, and 6 balances can you give your opinion, Motoki bluntly told him. How can I combine my maximum shadow attack with this style? Max asked. That's your path as the bearer, not mine, Kuroki replied. Motoki challenged Max to win a combat using the Shadow Balance 1 to prove himself worthy of learning the next mode. Max would have to do this by practicing only in his mind, so he spent the rest of that day preparing for the challenge of his first mission. His katana lacked a defined form, so its attack power wasn't strong enough. At least that's how it felt to him. He asked Achilles, who told him that he wasn't fully assimilating Umbra, he was resisting it. Like the other bearers, he needed to choose his mantle. I thought the katana was already my mantle, Max said, questioning his mentor. That's the weapon you've decided to forge as your own, Achilles replied. Garland and Qua did the same, the boy said, sounding confused. But you're not like them, the old man conceded. Your circumstances and personality differ in many ways. You must choose something else to represent you besides a stylized Japanese sword. Max was tired from training with Motoki, and Achilles wasn't giving him clear answers, leaving him with more doubts. His head was already full of things to think about. The next day, he would have his first practice with the squad to learn battle formations. Then came the big day of his first mission. Like everything this team handled, it would require a lot of strength. He fell asleep quickly and had that dream again where he could only make out a faceless shadow holding a katana. He woke up even more confused than before. He headed to one of the training halls and found everyone ready. First, they taught him the basic positions for stalking and reconnaissance. Later, he watched them move in a coordinated manner, every step calculated by the lieutenant. He gradually integrated into the system. Ryan's instructions were clear and precise, yielding good results. Before he knew it, he was practicing battle formations naturally and fluidly. Each member was free to use their preferred fighting style without negatively affecting the strategy. This presented an undeniable opportunity for Max to start using his shadow path. Astonished, Jacob wanted to know about the movements Max was making with his weapon. Max briefly explained that Umbra absorbed the knowledge of previous bearers and could pass it on to the next bearer. That's exactly what he was doing. The commander, fascinated, said he wanted to learn the entire history of the Shadow once the mission was completed. The first squad began practicing battle drills in pairs. Sasha adapted well to the fighting styles of each of her teammates, except Max's. She was stunned when he switched from defense to attack mode. He closed the distance faster than anyone had in a long time, which annoyed Sasha. She demanded a rematch. Max anticipated her moves and countered with attack mode 1. He defeated her again. Ryan was also puzzled, though he didn't show it. He thought that the rookie might be useful to them in the end. Determined to win, the girl poured all her energy and speed into the fight. She gained the upper hand and defeated Max, but she went too far, leaving him sprawled on the ground. Be glad we're on the same side, Sasha said with a smile as she walked away. Come on, Max, get up, Thomas said, offering him a hand. She never loses. She's extremely strong, Max said, a bit disoriented. Let's rest for now. Tomorrow we'll meet in our room to discuss the mission. Ryan went to file the practice report and finalize the coordination for the next day. Thomas left to visit his friends and complete his patrol round as usual. Max stayed behind to practice Shadow Balance 1. Makila entered the training hall. Seeing him practice motivated her to spar with him, just as they had weeks ago during training. After the match, she acknowledged that Max had more potential with the sword than before, marveling at his qualities and rapid progress. Makila told him that she had joined the 8th Regiment of the 2nd Squad, where the action never stopped. She wouldn't be joining them on the mission, but they always had to be prepared to fight. She liked her new position and had found several records of her grandfather in the same battalion. After the weapon was forged and took on a more normal appearance, someone from the 4th Squad was responsible for designing accessories to store the weapons so they wouldn't have to carry them constantly. They could place a space-time rune to summon the weapons instantly. That's why the weapons appeared out of nowhere. It was a marvelous experience. She updated him on the others a bit. Due to his speed, Peter was in the same regiment as Lieutenant Julian and was doing well. The twins were assigned to a special group between the 3rd and 4th Squads to develop medical runes. Charlie, the enthusiast, didn't want to join the squads. He suggested joining the teaching community to train aspirants before the Ascension ceremony. The commander himself approved the project. Max was happy for his friends and realized that his squad focused more on missions and training. That's why it wasn't a very large group. Morning training with Motoki and Achilles was quite grueling. Each of them offered a different teaching style. The 5th bearer focused on perfecting each attack and defense movement, while the 6th bearer focused on improvisation. It was hard to believe that the first master had taught the second one. Max tried combining both styles, but it didn't work well. The battles with the old mentor were becoming more balanced. Max could now teleport farther and more frequently. However, trying to summon the resources taken by his predecessors didn't feel right. He felt that he hadn't earned them through his own efforts, so he refused to do it. "You'll have to stop thinking so narrowly," Achilles told him. "I just don't think it's necessary to use anything you took," Max replied. "An army of thousands of warriors. Of course it's necessary to use them in battle," the mentor scolded angrily. "I don't plan to conquer anything, I just want to protect everyone," Max retorted. "Then what better opportunity is there to use the strength you have at your disposal?" the old man concluded. "I'll use my strength," Max said stubbornly. "I said the same thing until I had no choice but to use everything Umbra offered," Achilles said, sounding more serious and distant now. "I'll find a way," Max said, tired of feeling evaluated and underestimated. "Maybe you will," his master encouraged him and left him to practice alone. The members of the 1st Squad were summoned to the meeting room to review the action plan. First, they would meet with members of the 5th Squad near the auction site. They would then silently infiltrate the building and neutralize the guards. At the right moment, the 2nd Squad would arrive to complete the attack. The 1st Squad's task was to corner and capture Dee Dee. Since she was always accompanied by strong bodyguards, Max and Sasha would fight them so that Ryan and Thomas could fight Dee Dee. As Max headed to the teleportation room, he observed how the 4th Squad operated. Skilled rune tracers synchronized with their teammates at the destination, casting simultaneously and connecting 2 separate points. This facilitated a stealthy arrival without alerting the terrestrials. Another group from the 5th Squad would disguise themselves as civilians to surround the area. Using concealment runes, they would prevent people from witnessing what might happen. The Knight had always been an ally in hiding the guards' actions. Max was beginning to realize the size of the organization. The headquarters occupied an entire complex of about 10 blocks, all disguised as guard co-factories and corporate buildings. It was the first time he had left in months. The outside air filled him with nostalgia, reminding him of everything he had left behind when he joined the Guard and discovered the world between worlds. After the signal was given, the 4 members of the 1st Squad positioned themselves on a large rune. After a bright light appeared, they were transported to the vicinity of the city center, a place full of bars and nightlife spots. It was crowded, so they first had to identify those who weren't ordinary terrestrials. Thanks to the perception technique, they could see the flow of essence in the area's inhabitants and began locating the guards. When the time was right, Ryan gave the order. Everyone took their positions, and one by one they attacked and stunned the guards to prevent further interference. While waiting to attack the next target, Max saw a small group of young people passing by. Among them, he recognized Rachel. She had gone out with her friends and was heading toward him. Seeing her again made him nervous, so he tried to hide. He was sure she wouldn't remember him, and in any case, he preferred not to meet her. The guard let them pass. Max wondered what kind of business was being handled there. Upon receiving the lieutenant's order, Max performed a brief teleportation, knocking out and tying up the guard. Inside, the venue looked like a normal nightclub with ordinary people, though there were also individuals with dark energy. Demon energy permeated the place. They had likely lured young people there to capture and use them as food, or worse. The entire First Squad was already inside. Ryan ordered a quick analysis, and Max reported that there were more enemies than anticipated. Sasha confirmed this and said that there were 3 rooms with special rune blockades where several girls had already been taken. Someone with money and power was seeking fresh energy in 2 of the rooms. The 3rd room was a large storage area where the auction would begin shortly. Ryan and Thomas would attack the last room at the right moment. The other 2 would neutralize any threats. Once that was done, they would call the 2nd squad to meet and execute the plan. They had less than 30 minutes. Max followed Rachel's group. 2 well-dressed men invited them to a private party in the club's most exclusive area. They accepted enthusiastically and went with them. The plan seemed like fun. At the bar, there were plenty of drinks, and people were dancing to loud music and flashing lights. But when the door closed, all of that faded away, and only the men and the supposed DJ remained. Suddenly, they changed into something much more unpleasant. Their skin paled and claws appeared. They cornered the girls to attack them. Fortunately, Max had entered and managed to hide before the door closed. Without thinking, he applied all his knowledge and new skills. With a quick movement, he manifested his katana and beheaded one of the possessed. Seeing the head roll, his companions became confused and attacked Max. He switched to Defense Mode 1 and found it relatively easy to block them both at the same time. He switched to Attack Mode 1 and slashed at another, cutting him across the abdomen and defeating him. The last one tried to escape, but Sasha was waiting at the door to finish him off. Scared and confused, Rachel recognized Max amidst the chaos. Yes, there was the guy with the interesting vibe she had met at the restaurant. She hadn't seen him since. She approached him and said, "Wow, it's good to see you. Thanks for this. I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, you saved us." "It's my job, so there's no need to thank me," Max said nervously. "I thought I'd never see you again. Give me your number so you can tell me more about yourself," Rachel said excitedly. "Sweetie, look here," Sasha said. When Rachel turned to look, the light of the runes trapped her. For the 3rd time, her memories were altered, and for the 2nd time, she forgot Max. He did the same with the other girls. They escorted the girls to the main hall to keep them safe and prevent them from interfering again. They regrouped with their teammates, and Thomas deciphered the blockade runes. He found a way to disable them and enter. There were many people with threatening intentions, and their guards were in position. Lady Didi appeared on stage, accompanied by 2 ogre servants. They had to wait for the auction to begin to see what objects would be offered. They needed to gather information and learn about the true plans of the path. The auction began, and peculiar objects were revealed, including very ancient scrolls, statues with suggestive designs, supposedly cursed weapons, and most notably a porcelain doll. Didi claimed that it contained the power of darkness and was the source of the infernal strength. Unlike with the other objects, she wasn't asking for money. Instead, she demanded a piece of jewelry, the infamous Ring of Ecstasy. This trinket was said to be one of the 2 greatest sources of power. The audience fell silent. Suddenly, an elderly woman dressed formally in dull colors and wearing a tall hat stepped onto the stage with her servant. The servant wore a butler's uniform and covered his face with a scroll. She indicated a small black box, traced some runes, and the box opened to reveal a large silver ring with a special design. It had several spikes on top and a black gem in the center. Lady Didi was astonished, and her happiness was evident. They exchanged their items, and just before the auction ended, Ryan ordered his team to intervene and put an end to this dangerous business. Sasha and Max appeared next to the bodyguards, preventing them from reaching their mistress. Thomas stepped forward to attack his rival, followed by Ryan. However, the mysterious woman evaded her attackers with a satisfied smile. She then appeared next to Ryan and tried to kiss his cheek. He dodged it while pointing his weapon at her. The attendees began to flee. Sasha signaled the second squad to capture as many as possible. By then, the terrestrials who had nothing to do with the matter had already been evacuated from the building. Ryan was about to shoot when someone clapped. From the shadows emerged a man dressed formally in a black three-piece suit. He approached them. His short black hair was perfectly combed to one side, and he wore several black and white accessories, cufflinks, scarves, and silk gloves. His face expressed a mix of pride, nostalgia, and anger. "My dear Ryan," the man said, "I see you've improved a lot in this time, but by my side you would have achieved something much greater." "I killed you 5 years ago, Bastil," Ryan replied curtly. "It was just a double. The battle was spectacular. I still dream about it, my friend," Bastil said mockingly. "You're a traitor, and I'll put an end to your plans right now," the lieutenant declared. "Unlike you, my dear brother-in-arms," Bastil said, his expression marked with victory. "There are people with more vision in this world. We've reached an incredible level of power, and I already have 2 of the elements I was missing." He glanced back at Max, who was fighting the ogre. "The boy will never follow you. There's nobility in him," Ryan said. "Exactly," Bastil replied. "His turn will come later." Lady Deed stood next to Bastil and handed him the ring. He examined it, and a huge smile spread across his face. Thomas raised his guard, but an enemy they hadn't accounted for appeared before him. It was a man over 2 meters tall. His limbs were oddly elongated, and he resembled a disheveled, colorless circus clown. He wore white and black makeup on his face, with a smile drawn on one side and a sad expression on the other. His clothes resembled those of an asylum patient rather than a carnival costume. The man launched an attack at Thomas, who was about to dodge when the man's arm suddenly stretched out to strike. The 2 members of the first squad joined forces, combining their techniques in this new scenario. Sasha and Max could only watch as their teammates struggled against more adversaries than anticipated. The ogres were stronger and more resistant than humans, but they weren't fast or smart. Without wasting time, the girl drew her sword from its sheath when she saw Bastil enter the scene, and it ignited in flames. Every move she made left a trail of fire behind her, as if she were dancing. When she was close to her opponent, she made another move and a small dragon's head formed. The previous trail became part of the body of the mythical creature, which moved as if it had a mind of its own. Sasha said, "Lesser ascending dragon." All the fire's power went toward the ogre, engulfing it in flames and finishing it off. For the moment, Max limited himself to defending. The creature landed a strong blow, sending him straight into the wall. He felt Bastil's gaze on him. A voice told him not to get distracted or else things would go badly. It was Achilles who seemed to be witnessing his fight. Max turned his attention back to his opponent. Seeing what Sasha had done, he used teleportation to disorient the monster. When the creature raised its arms to grab Max in midair, he used his maximum shadow technique on a smaller scale than during the ceremony. He struck the ogre head-on, taking it out of the fight. Meanwhile, Thomas was fighting the terrifying clown, and Ryan held his position until he saw Bastil's first move. Sasha and Max joined him, ready to defend, but another figure appeared behind them, White Face. The girl couldn't contain herself and attacked to avenge her brother. The masked man simply dodged her blows, fighting with the same style. He read her movements perfectly, which infuriated Sasha. She drew her sword but failed to land a hit. Lady Didi wore a purple sequined evening gown that dissolved when she moved her hands. It transformed into a fitted sporty outfit of the same color. Her nails grew into blades of the same color. She lunged at Ryan, who held her off easily. She wanted to give Bastil time to convince Max to join them. Bastil held the black box containing the ring with a smile on his lips. He closed it while analyzing Max deeply. "They say the truth is written on our faces, Maximilian," Bastil began. "I'll never give you Umbra," Max retorted. Your face tells me you won't give it to me, but it also shows fear of what's to come, the leader of the path continued. It's true that I'm afraid, but not of you and what you want to do to everyone else. I won't allow it, Max said. I think they told you the guards' version of our little encounter a few years ago, Bastille said, feigning recollection. But they've done more harm than good to humanity. If you look at this world, you can see how greed destroys more resources every day just to fill the pockets of a few. That's not fair. On top of that, they receive protection in exchange for ignorance or disinterest. I don't think it's right that we remain an urban legend. We're stronger and more capable than they are. We should be on top, where we belong. From there, every being's soul would be awakened, allowing them to contribute to society in the best way possible, don't you think? We'd have a better place made up of superior people on a path to true peace for all. Follow me. I am the path that will magnify your abilities and powers. Together, we will reign over these inferior beings. Bastille extended his hand to Max. He approached step by step with a smile and a friendly gaze. He seemed very confident in what he was doing, and he gave off a warm vibe. Max wasn't going to fall for his act of being a benevolent person. He manifested his katana and unleashed his maximum shadow. His new adversary knew his plans and dodged them effortlessly. Bastille shook his head, his smile still very pronounced. With a snap of his fingers, all his collaborators approached. The four enemies stood before Max. The other members of the First Squad arrived to provide immediate support. Annoyed at not continuing her fight, Sasha was about to restart it when the founder of the path took out the black box again. He opened it, took out the ring, and placed it on his right ring finger. A strong energy emanated from it. Satisfied, Bastille looked at his rivals and said with a smile, "Dear friends, it's time for you to witness the true reach and supremacy of the path. We are the only path to true peace. This is my final offer for you to join me and start a real revolution." When he received no response, he lowered his head slightly, made a gesture of denial, and his expression completely changed. Now his gaze was threatening. He stopped smiling, raised his right hand, and his ring turned black. It was pure darkness. It began to transform into a huge knight in armor with colors ranging from silver to black. The spikes that had stood out on the ring were now present all over his body. He emanated immense power. Max had never felt such energy before and couldn't identify it. The creature roared and transformed again. Now Bastille wielded a large sword. Its crossguard featured the characteristic spikes, and its double-edged blade expelled dark energy. "This is ecstasy. It belongs to the false demon princes. I control its power and you will perish before it," Bastille declared. "Darling, please don't hurt us," Didi said. "I don't care about them." She began to laugh. A second later, Bastille was about to land a direct blow, but Ryan avoided it by firing a powerful burst. His rival was extremely fast. Max could barely defend himself against each strike, and the other two guys were in the same situation. They couldn't even follow him with their eyes. His trajectory was unpredictable, and the force of each attack grew stronger. The lieutenant had no choice but to remove his energy blocks to keep up. He created a circle of fire around them as a shield, but his opponent could cut through the flames. Ryan's body emitted a lot of heat when he wasn't wearing his coat and hat. His weapons glowed red-hot, and he vanished in an instant. Gunfire and slashes could be heard everywhere, but the fighters couldn't be seen. Still, Bastille had the opportunity to attack without any trouble. Highly concentrated shots came from all directions but were stopped. The members of the path waited for their leader to finish before moving. However, Ryan complicated the situation for them. Max and the others were in a similar position, protecting themselves from the dark attacks and trying not to interfere with their lieutenant. Bastille stopped playing around. He quickly slashed at Ryan, who had to use both pistols to block the attack. Didi conjured thorny branches that restrained Ryan for a moment. Meanwhile, Bastille went straight for Max. Using Defense Mode 1, Max barely managed to cover himself. Thanks to his two companions, they prevented Bastille from taking Umbra. The three of them fought fiercely, but their enemy mocked them. Your face tells me every move you're going to make. How did the guard's first squad end up with riffraff like you? Bearer, your expression reveals everything. You're not a warrior, you're a coward. It disgusts me to look at you. The shadow needs a worthy master. Sasha improvised her lesser dragon dance, but it was no use. Thomas's wind blades were easily blocked, and even Max's maximum shadow was no match for Bastille. While covering one of Thomas's attacks, Bastille kicked him, sending him to the other side of the huge warehouse. He headed to finish off the girl, and without thinking, Max teleported to cover her. He raised his katana and took the blow. The force was so great that it shattered the shadow-forged weapon, leaving a wound on Max's shoulder and sending them both flying. I must learn to control this power better, said Bastille, sounding serious. Truly, boy, you stand no chance. You're nobody and you always have been. Just look around you. This isn't your place. You'll never be ready and you'll only hurt yourself. Give me the shadow and I'll let you live. You could be one of my closest officers. Not even the guard can withstand the power of the eternal weapons. You were dragged into this world so different from your own. Max was on the ground, and every word he heard carried weight. A voice inside him spoke. It was Achilles. Come on, Maximilian, get up, you can do it. Your nobility is your greatest strength and no one else has it. Remember, you must always stay true to yourself. Don't let this guy's words deceive you. You have something he doesn't. Your face doesn't define you, your actions and decisions do. My time has come, and it's time for you to choose your mantle. I feel you're ready. My knowledge will always be with you. Use it well, and don't become me. I know you're much better. You are the rightful new bearer of Umbra. Bastille stopped in his tracks as he watched Max slowly get up. Ryan was still trapped in the burning branches, which hindered his movements. Bastille turned his attention to the boy and raised his weapon high. Max wasn't fully conscious of what was happening. He felt intense pain, and his mentor's words echoed in his head. A strong sensation began to fill his chest. He breathed slowly, but something within him was growing. He no longer wanted to be the fearful boy he had always been. He was determined to dedicate his entire being to fighting injustice and those who believed themselves superior to others. His moment had come. He made a definitive decision. From that point on, he would show his face with Umbra as part of him. That was his destiny, what he had been waiting for. He swiftly moved his right hand across his face from bottom to top, and a black mask appeared. It had no design, and only his eyes were visible. Bastille, sensing immense energy, lowered his sword to finish off the boy. Suddenly, a beautiful black katana emerged, interrupting the trajectory of his attack.